Walk me through that experience of you wanting to take your life.
Well, it was a horrible one. I was in fifth grade. I wrote that letter. I can still see my handwriting. I see the cursive writing of me writing it. And then I hid the letter in my room. And one day, a family friend, I think she was in eighth grade. I had an older cousin live with me. So she was my cousin's friend. And my mom loved her like she was one of our own. And she read the letter out loud. My mom heard it and she lied and she lied and she lied. And I'll never forget, I saw my mom's face, and I mean, it's no fault of her. She did the best she could with what she knew, but she was silent. I never forgot that moment. And I just thought, God, if I could actually go through it, I would, because if my mom doesn't care, well, who does? That was my experience. Now, she may have something totally different, but it also put a thought in me. And this is why I knew I was very emotionally unintelligent. The thought it put in me, Canoe, was you are by yourself, Kevin. No one can see you, Kevin. No one cares about you, Kevin. And if you don't do it on your own, no one's coming. Because if your mom can't help, then who the hell can? And that was a day I started hoarding money. I started hoarding my allowance. I started hoarding things. I started keeping things. Like if you look around my house and the things I have, there's still a lot of behaviors from the past of having stuff in all the places. Retirement is set. Monies are set. Things are set in different places. I had 2 or 3 houses at one point. I had rental houses and rental properties because, Kevin, if you won't take care of you, no one is coming. And you make so much now, no one can afford you, so you can't leave your job. So some of my responsibility at first was trauma bound. It was more about, if you won't do it, nobody can help. So I would always create ways, Canoe, of how I could set up my world. I had to make sure I had contingencies, because I remember, if nobody's going to be there, you better have this, all these things set, because I didn't have chapter 6. I didn't have trust. I had nobody. So I had to figure out, how do I do it for me? And then as I began to learn and get coaching, what was beautiful was some of these things were still in place. So I still learned to be responsible. I still learned, but there's a reason for learning. I thought no one else in the world liked or loved it. So I thought it was on my own. And so coaching for me, you ask, what does it do? That thought, I'll never forget. There was this guy, and I've been speaking and coaching and training people for about 4 or 5 years. And I got into this coaching program where I went part-time. And that was a guy, he was brand new to coaching. And I'll never forget, the coach, he compared me to a Tesla and compared that guy to a second grader. He says, listen, because the second grader has the coaching prompts, he took this Tesla, and as much as I was in the car, I was crying, I was getting coached in the car. I was an hour from home, and he kept asking me these questions about guilt and shame. And through this exercise, I located that belief with the suicide letter. You'll be alone forever, because if your mom won't help you while somebody's laughing, who will? That man helped me locate that belief by doing these exercises. And then, because I was so, remember I said I'm very, very smart. I was here, I was there. And he stayed present with me and wouldn't let me go and kept asking questions and would not be and I'm crying my eyes out. But it was one of the best things I'd ever found, because it was a lie. That was a stronghold that I thought I had to do everything by myself and no one else is strong enough to help me. And he kept asking questions so I could see the lie and see the belief and lay in choice. See the belief. So it was like a second grader learning how to coach, taking a Tesla and wrangling with this thing until the Tesla succumbed.
There comes a time when every man gets tired of the weight that he's carrying alone, tired of suffering in silence, tired of pretending that he has it all together. And that is why I created Manhood Speaks Brotherhood. It is a private school community where regular men like you and I can connect, support each other, and build together. In this community, you're going to find real and raw conversations, but also other brothers who are willing to challenge and support your growth. For the first 7 days, you get in free. So click the link in the description and take your seat at the fire. And let's begin this process of transformation. Now, let's get you back to the interview.
And it was the questions that allowed him to be there. But more importantly, it was his presence and willing to be with me in my ugliest hour. And I saw that programming running my life in the ground, running my life not trusting, running my life not being sure of myself or listening to myself or listening to others. It was that coaching to help identify that belief. So when you ask what coaching does, it can do stuff like that. If you are willing to be vulnerable, do the work, do the exercises, and literally just open yourself to you. I was ready.
You segued into something there that many men also deal with. That is loneliness. Or maybe walking a lonely path. They thinking that they are on their own, as you thought, that it is all about, it's all up to you. And I understand that perspective, and I agree with it to a certain extent. What are the advantages of walking your path alone, and what are the disadvantages that you see where that is concerned?
Well, I'm gonna start with the disadvantages. One of the things you can do when you walk it alone, you could think what you believe is truth because there's nobody else there to confront it. So there are thoughts I had in my mind, just like the one I just described, that no one is there for me, no one can help me. And I let that be the thought that ran my life in a lot of ways, but it was a lie. I didn't have anyone to confront it, no community to help me see it. So guess what? That lie ran my life. So when you walk alone, no one challenges you. When you walk alone, you could think you're right and you could judge everybody else is wrong. So sometimes I had some of that going on, which is mean it's easier to dehumanize other people. When you're walking alone, you can look at yourself and just think there is no other way because there's nobody to show you a different way when you walk alone. Now, some advantages as you're being alone, you get to do the work. If you're willing to do the work and it's quiet, no one's going to stop you and interrupt you so you can't do the work. See, sometimes we hold on to other people and use them as an excuse so we don't have to get out there and do that ugly work I described. So sometimes the advantage of being alone at times is also listening and being quiet with your thoughts. There's no phone. I don't know what my phone is. There's no phone going on. There's no TV going on. If you turn everything off, it's just your thoughts. And I invite you, listen. Do you like what you hear? Does it serve you? Look at your outer world, because everything starts with an inner thought and interaction. Then we do it on the outer. Look at the world you have. Is it serving you? If not, choose differently. So being alone does have some advantages because you can be not interrupted and really, if you're willing to do the work. So there's something to it, but just having people is not always an advantage too, because if you're using them as an excuse to not look at you, for that, how many years does your life go by because you won't look at you because you got family, you got this person, you got that person, but you won't look at you? Is it really beneficial to hide behind someone else and then blame them or blame the world, but don't look at you? So it's got its advantages and disadvantages on both sides.
I guess the best case scenario would be to spend time alone, to do that work, to get to know you. But also
get some help if you know you can't. If you've been doing it for the last several years and nothing's really changed, even when you're alone, sorry, let me go and interrupt you. You need some help. You need a coach. Why do you think we're around here? There's only the mind you have with what you've got. Just look around your life. Look at all your circumstances. You're doing the best you can with the mind you have. If there's no study, there's no disruption, there's another person that's going to shake you up and ask some of these questions I'm asking, like in this interview. How will you go from this level to that level? See, the difference is the other person is, first of all, they're outside of you, so they can hear your thoughts and sometimes challenge it. But number two, if it's a coach or a therapist, they studied in areas you haven't. Think about it. We don't study in areas that deal with our mind or deal with our head. We just think, I got it all together. Well, you got people who actually have a whole field of study, years, and they have experience helping other people do stuff like this. They've done the work themselves. A lot of them have. So you got to understand, sometimes the mind you got can only take you so far, but for you to go higher, you must invest in yourself. But that's a willingness to say, I don't have it all together. Am I willing to tell the truth and go higher? Because this person can fool me in a certain area. Telling the truth is also very courageous. The lying is very easy. We do that a lot. So I'm inviting you to look at yourself and ask yourself, was that helpful?
Yeah, that. So in essence, what I got is you need that assistance to go further, and as well as I would even add that you need that community of like-minded persons, like-minded men to also give that support and encouragement.
Right. Own a friend. Get a friend. Have a friend. Find somebody who's actually doing the work so you don't feel like a unicorn. Because sometimes I want you to also see this is very critical. I had a friend of 19 years before I started speaking. Because it was just me and her. And what it was I didn't realize I was commiserating. See, I was still afraid to speak. But the same Kevin you see right here, all this was there. But I was pushing it all on that one person. And she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to do the work. She wasn't ready. Her belief was, well, it take God a long, long time for me. And for years, 19 years, I believed it. So guess what I was doing? But I was also I was also stunting my own growth. I didn't have to stay there. Trust me, a man doesn't do what he doesn't want to do unless he's getting something out of it. What did I get out of it? Remember, I couldn't trust anybody. So I was getting some kind of friendship. It wasn't the highest friendship, but I was getting some kind of friendship out of it. I was getting some kind of community. Wasn't the highest community, but I was getting some kind of community out of it because she didn't do therapy or coaching or anything like that. So I just stayed there. But one day, the reason why I left, it kind of got a little bad because there were times where sometimes she would push my buttons. Like, I didn't believe that. For me, God changed a lot of things very quickly, but speaking was very slow. So that was the one thing that was very, very slow. But a lot of other stuff, she'd be mad at me because I'd be fussing and cussing and doing stuff and God would be blessing me, but I was usually in action. And sometimes she'd be wanting to do things and serve God, but she wasn't in action. And so she'd be mad. Why God giving you stuff? He ain't giving me stuff. I said, because you sitting back lukewarm doing nothing. You can't just talk about it, be about it. So I was like Paul, just slipping and sliding and fussing and cussing and sometimes making miracles. But in the actions, I also saw when I did stuff, it didn't always take me as long for the miracle to happen. I was just sitting around talking about it. But there's one thing I couldn't see it. And so to get her off me on occasion when she tried to bring me back down so I wouldn't leave her, sometimes get off me and I would just be rack 'em. And I think one day I called her out of her name and I said, wait a minute, I'm better than this. But more importantly, that's not her name. I have a mother, I have a sister, and I don't want any man calling them out of her name. So I said, then what are you doing? I didn't have a coach, but I'm asking myself these questions. Why are you acting like this when you know you're better than this? I said, because I'm afraid. I'm afraid to let her go. I'm afraid to walk into the unknown. But I also now know at this point, I gotta stand up and be me. So how do I do this? And I'll never forget, Canoe, before I started speaking, I met Lisa. I met Lisa 1 month after I sent this text. I said, you've told me God takes you days, months, weeks, years for your process, but I have to own something. It doesn't take me that long. When I put my mind to it, I get things like that. And so let me stop making you wrong and calling you names for you not being like me. But I'm also going to stop you from making me wrong, from being very quick and not having to stay in the past and stay on my story and lay and wallow in my story. I don't want to do that anymore. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to invite you, find your path. You can take a day, a week, a month, or a lifetime. It doesn't make you wrong. I just have to be honest, it's just not me anymore. I can't live like that anymore. I'm going to do what I need to do. I got to do this stuff a little faster. I just got to be me and not have this energy of, just because something is not right. All this I kept hearing speak. The minute I let her go, 1 month later, I got a webinar on my computer. It was a Lisa Nichols lady. She started talking for an hour and a half. I enrolled in something, bought some kind of course, and next thing you know, I'm on her campus, and that's when purpose started happening. But I had to be willing to let go of those I was holding on to for dear life, because it was serving a purpose. But when you got the purpose, the level of 10 all the way down to 1, I was serving more of a 2 or 3 purpose. I just wanted some community, but I was commiserating. I needed to start walking in purpose, serving people, getting my skills together, learning, becoming, evolving, growing. I needed to let that go so I can let people in like you, Canoe. You couldn't be here if I'm still holding on to her, because I wouldn't be growing. I would not have been, you wouldn't even see me. I see me down, I hold on to her. So I just want you to see, sometimes we blame other people when really it's us holding on to somebody else for dear life because we're scared to grow. and let go and be calm.
Remember to check out the full interview right here on Manhood Speak.